I was just living it up. I was like, okay, I have like $180 left. That'll buy me food for a few weeks so I can like figure out where to work or get a job. Again, people, I did not know what sex was. I don't even know these things. Put it in the comments, dude. All right, welcome back to There's No Way That's True podcast. I'm your host, Mary Rose, and today I have an in-person interview. My husband.
What do you call this?
Jazz hands.
Yeah.
Applause. This is my husband, Giuseppe, and he's going to be on today for adding a little extra, what do you call it? A little something extra. And we'll talk a little bit about, we're not just going to completely 100% jump off the IFB subject. We have so much more content, so it might be more scattered. And this episode's also going to have about like how we met, and we can talk a little, I mean, it's like a lot, but we can talk about some of it. I think it's pretty interesting. Do you have anything else you think we want to talk about, or just kind of go with it?
That I would like to talk about myself? I know, I guess like how we met. It's interesting.
Is a good one.
Me.
Oh, I forgot.
So when I saw your church for the first time. Oh, what you got?
I brought something.
Oh,
I made this and been saving it. Okay. My time is finally here, and I'll see my dreams come alive at last. I brought my tinfoil hat.
Oh man, it's gonna get interesting.
No, I don't think we're there yet. We're gonna save this. We're gonna save this right here so I can use it as inspiration. Hopefully, it's out of the camera. I don't think we're there yet, but close. Just like stick around, and soon we really will be there. Okay, so
We'll be talking about lizard people, right?
No, we've already been over the lizard people thing. I don't know anything about lizard people.
They don't exist.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, the information or story. Yeah. You know, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I'm not a lizard, I promise.
Okay. Well, okay. So, Giuseppe, you didn't grow. Well, I guess you can share a little bit. Share a little bit about, like, religiously how you grew up.
How I grew up?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up on a Pentecostal church, I would say. I didn't used to go to church the way that my wife used to go to church on a daily basis, and you had to be here and you had to be doing this. It was more like,
I don't think much of anyone
goes
to church or is involved as like, it's not normal.
But I wanted to say it because maybe some people thought that I was.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, most Christians or religious people aren't like, majority aren't that, like, every single day.
I mean, the people that I grew up around that, you know, when I used to go to church, they were going to church, 5 days a week.
Pentecostals are pretty conservative, like, pretty rigid as well.
Yeah, they're rigid. They're not in the way that you grew up, the way that IFB, but they're rigid just in their own ways.
But you never went that much. Like, how often would you go to church?
I would say once a month.
Oh, you didn't go. I thought that you were going like every Sunday.
Every Sunday? No.
Or like whatever your day of the church was.
There was a period in which I was going like on a regular basis, but I wasn't forced to go. If I didn't want to go, my parents didn't force me to go to the church. Okay. I used to go a lot with my grandparents when I was growing up. Okay. But I mean, the only reason why they made me go is because they were taking care of me at the time.
Yeah, so there's like, you got to go to church.
So I had to go to church, but yeah, I wasn't forced to go to church. Okay.
Me and you met when I was actually, before the episode started, I was trying to remember. I don't know if I was 13 or 14.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think the first time that we
I think the first time when I was 13, because I had moved back to the Dominican where we were missionaries in 2010 in October. It was like right after I turned 13.
Yeah.
And I think that December at Christmas is when I first actually like met you, even though like we didn't hang out or we weren't really friends or anything, at Moises' house, your uncle. We were hanging out over there. A deacon in the church of ours in the Dominican was Giuseppe's uncle. And so I one time was over at their house. It might have been on a Sunday or something, sometimes between services. Like in the morning we had Haitian services. I don't know if you knew that. In the morning we had Haitian services at the church in Creole. And then in the evenings on Sundays we would have Dominican service in Spanish in the evening. Because like in Polo, not many people had morning services.
I don't know, Polo.
Like,
I never went to church. No, I never went to church in the morning.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
always
Catholics,
evening.
no,
The Catholics, yeah, Catholics have mass in the morning.
Yeah.
But any of the, Pentecostal, Church of Christ, Jehovah's Witnesses, Baptist, we always have evening services. So we'd have morning services, and sometimes I would go over to Moses' house for, I don't know what for, but
hang out, I guess.
Yeah, to hang out.
That's what you do when you're in Polo.
Yeah. And so we met over there, but it was a bit after that till we actually started talking like friends or anything. Maybe a year, right?
A year after that, yeah.
It's like a year after that. And so when you first met us, like when you first met me, I guess, well, you met kind of all of us at the same time. What was your thought on like just when you saw us? What did you think? Did you think like, did you think that we were different or weird or anything, or just thought that we were like regular people?
No, I thought you were regular people that, came from the United States to help in great churches, but I didn't think of your life being difficult or, I don't know, I would say rigid.
Yeah.
In that sense.
When do you think you realized something was weird?
I guess whenever...
Maybe not the complete. I know you did not know the complete extent of everything for you, but what did you think was like the first moment that you're kind of like, this is kind of like, what is up with these people? This is kind of weird.
I think it was after we started talking and we couldn't be together and you came back to the U.S.
Okay, you can't, you just jumped over like...
No, I know, but I'm telling you when... I'm answering your question.
When you were kidnapped, it was after the time you were kidnapped and this. Like, dude, you just jumped over like so much. Okay, go ahead. So it was years. It was years before you realized.
No, because at first I thought it was just Christian people that for some reason, they just wanted to be separate from other people. But I didn't see that as something completely weird.
Did you know? What did you notice that we were like separate or something?
No, in the sense of you didn't used to get out, do things with the locals the same.
Oh yeah. Just like hanging out.
Yeah, like hanging out.
Yeah, we didn't leave like.
I know. I mean, you had some people that you knew and they used to.
Yeah,
go to their
I would say it's like the deacon's house, and it was weird. It was for a long time. My parents would not let us go over there unless one of them were there with us. But then every once in a while, they would maybe drop us and be like, "We'll be back in 30 minutes." Or then there were times that they would let us stay, like go visit for the afternoon. But apart from the deacon's house and then one neighbor that lived beside us, Johnny, apart from her house, we weren't really like allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Apart from, and that was like, how do I say it? I don't want to sound like really dramatic, but it was almost like that was like the fun thing like that we got to do was go over to like and even at the deacon's house. So in the Dominican, it's super normal for everyone to, like hang out in the road.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of like you put chairs outside, you sit outside, you hang out in the road, people walk because everyone there walks because there's not many vehicles. And so you just talk to people as they walk around and such. And I do remember even for a long time, we were allowed to go to the deacon's house, but we weren't allowed to leave the inside of the house.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like we'd have to sit either on the front porch with them or be inside of the house. And so that kind of sucked too. I mean, it was like fun to go over there, but then it's like sometimes like all of his kids would be sitting outside in chairs. And so then we would just be like sitting inside alone.
Sitting inside.
Because of course they don't want, like there's nothing to do inside. It's not like you have TV or anything to really do.
Yeah, like I said before, like at that moment, let's say that we are hanging out outside and you're hanging out inside and I saw you because I saw those things happening. But I thought, I don't know, they probably don't want to come outside. So I never thought that was weird.
Oh, you thought that like we didn't like to go outside or something?
Something like that, yeah. You didn't want to necessarily
didn't want to get sunburn or
again. If I didn't see you, if I saw you inside while I was outside and I was there, I thought maybe, for example, oh, they don't want to come outside right now because we're a bunch of guys out here.
Oh, yeah, right, to be around a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so even though those weird things were happening,
you just didn't
see
know
that at the moment. Yeah, I didn't know.
So essentially, we started talking. We really liked each other, and then I was like, "You gotta like talk to my dad." Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of it wasn't even that long that we were talking. But I was like terrified because I was like, I'm not allowed to talk to a guy or whatever. I was like, I'll get in trouble or so at that point I was 14. I guess I was maybe 14 and a half, almost 15.
Yeah, I think you were pushing 15.
Yeah, almost 15. And so how did that end? Do you even remember how that ended up, how you came to talk to my dad? Or was it more than one time?
That I came to talk to your dad?
Yeah.
No, just once.
What? Okay, so I remember that I was the one that said like, you gotta ask him if you can talk to me. And I remember telling you like, it's not dating. We're not allowed to date. Yeah. And you were like really confused. And you're like, isn't that the same thing though? And I was like, no, it's like it's not dating though. Don't say dating. And when I explained, because when I said courting, because you're not allowed to date, you have to court. And I was like, explain what courting is. And you were like, but that's the same thing as dating. Yeah. And I was like, you can't use the word. And also like courting, I guess one of the big things is you're like never allowed to be alone at all. Like not even for like 5 minutes. And also not even, no holding hands, no physical contact at all. I remember a lot of churches, our church definitely talked about this, but a lot of IFB churches teach that when you're courting, the space that you're supposed to have between you is the size of a King James 1611 Bible. No, a lot of people know. They would that's the measuring. You would like sit on the pew and you'd put the Bible in the middle. Then you can move it, but that way you could make sure you had the right amount of space.
You need the
I just
power
remember
of the Bible,
that. Yeah. I forgot about that because that's like a good, depending on how big your Bible is, but it's obviously on average like a good 6-8 inches of space between. So then I was asked you to go talk to him. Yeah. And then what happened? Like
Well, I mean, it was a bit of an experience for me in the sense that I was never asked to do something like, it's not like I didn't have many partners before you, but if I was going to talk to somebody, again, I was a kid. I was
17, 16.
No, I was 16.
Yeah.
I didn't go through those, go talk to my dad or I usually, let's say that I, for some reason, wanted to hang out with somebody. I would just go to their house and just sit outside in the front of the road and we could talk. Yeah. And so whenever you asked me to go talk to him, I was really nervous, first of all, because your dad, like the way that we knew him was, someone that you don't mess around with.
Well, it's very typical, like, it's a couple of different things. It's like IFB, like leaders and pastors and deacons are supposed to carry this level of like seriousness, kind of like you're a respectable person. You're very cordial in ways. But that was like, the funny part is like, it was so weird compared to like how my dad's actual personality is. Because, and I think that's why he was never very good at that whole like persona, because don't get me wrong. Like a lot of the stuff he did, he shouldn't have done. But that type of attitude of like everyone almost like fearful of him, maybe like he's kind of like I guess maybe like it's just a power. He's a
big figure.
It's like a power kind of thing. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, going through that, I was supposed to go talk to him. I was really nervous, and I remember going to your church and asking him, "Can I talk to you in private, and it's about your daughter?"
Oh, you said that to him? You came to church and asked him that?
Yeah, I came to church.
What was his response to that? A lot of the stuff, I know this sounds crazy, but I don't remember it, or
I don't know.
I don't know it.
To be honest, I don't know if he really heard me really well. I think he did because
of hear you,
but I think he made a more like a kind of face. So I don't know if he.
Well, no, it could also have been like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, what are you talking about? Like, did she hit you or something like that?
Yeah, like what?
So I remember going because my house conveniently was right across from the church. So
Yeah.
I didn't have to go too far the first time to go talk to him.
Yeah.
I just opened my front door and
You
it
walked
was
across.
right there. Yeah, I remember standing on the other side, on my side of the house behind the fence, just looking and waiting for him to come out. I didn't want to stand outside.
To go and talk to him.
To go and talk to him, yeah.
You didn't go to the church service?
Did I go?
I don't know. I'm asking. I guess not.
I assume not. Because that's what it's in my mind,
that
but I
was
don't
probably,
remember that
that
much.
probably like upset him so much more that like you didn't even come to the
random guy.
you didn't even come to the church service.
I might have because I was all well dressed, but I don't remember because I put something on nicely.
Your one nice shirt.
My one night shirt. My weekend one night shirt, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
I went to talk to him. I asked him if I could talk to him. He said, "Sure, of course." We set it up for the next day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Either the next day or the day after.
Like
I know that
pretty
was
soon.
right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty soon because wasn't your service on a Friday night?
We had Saturday night services.
Yeah. So I kind of remember.
Well, we sometimes have Sunday night, but at that time we were definitely having Saturday night services because whatever, there were some scheduling things. We had Saturday night services.
Yeah. I somewhat remember it being pretty close by the first time that I talked to him and then the second. So let's assume for the simplicity that was the next day. So I got up the next day. It was real early in the morning. Not real early. It was around 9, 10 a.m. right before lunch.
Yeah, I remember like we had just finished making, because on Sunday, I think it was Sunday, because on Sundays you go, like the town we would have Haitian services real early, and then you would stop on the way back in the middle of town, they would do the market.
Yeah.
So they would set up like all the local farmers essentially would on Sunday mornings come down from like 7 or 8 in the morning until, I don't know, 12 or 1 and sell all their produce and meat and vegetables. And so that's like most people go on Sunday and buy like, their vegetables and produce for most of the week. And so I remember we had gotten back, we had been like unpacking all of the stuff that we got and we're getting ready to start making lunch. And
I showed up.
then you showed up and I was like, oh my God, dude. You know that feeling you get like right before diarrhea? That's kind of like in your stomach. That's what it felt like. I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Okay, so I think it was definitely Sunday because I remember us going like unpacking all that stuff.
Yeah, so I showed up the next day. They have a big gate in their house.
Yeah, well, I mentioned in one of our previous episodes, like you kind of always typically IFB missionaries have like compounds to keep you even more separated and isolated. So it has like a prison wall around it, but then you have a big sliding gate that you can't see through. It's not see through, but you roll it open and close to get like vehicles or people in and out of the property.
Yeah. So I remember getting there, being intimidated just by the size of the house. Again, I've never done something like this before.
Yeah, there was another house on the property and in our house, and the bottom level, I think each level was around 2,500 square feet. And so the whole downstairs was dorms and like big kitchen and stuff for when groups would come down. And then upstairs was where we actually lived. But it is a big house and property and all kinds of stuff happening there.
So, I showed up, going somewhat open the door because I didn't know if I was supposed to knock or go inside because it's this big gate, but then I had to knock the doors over there.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do.
Okay. So
I was standing outside.
The setup was made so that nobody would come in.
Nobody come bother you.
Because it was so like there was no doorbell, there was no like I don't know something you could knock on. So often there would just be people out there. Literally, they would just wait for hours until we opened the gate and be like, "Hey, I've been out here waiting. Like I couldn't get in." So how long were you waiting out there?
I don't know. I don't think. I think it was about 5 minutes. It's not like I was waiting a long time.
It was
I didn't know
weird,
what to do.
yeah.
I mean,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, should I jump? Should I just open the gate? So I ended up opening the gate, and when I say 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes from the moment I got out of
the truck.
Got out of the truck to go get in the door, but I was sitting in the truck for a good 20 minutes.
Wait, what?
They showed up early, but I just,
Dude,
I just didn't want to do it.
Dude, that's
I just didn't wanna do
horrible.
it.
That's horrible. Like, you should have showed up right when you had to go in, so you didn't have time to sit there and think.
Nah, yeah, I was
Showing up 25 minutes, all you were doing was sitting there, like, stressing yourself out, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, again, I got off the truck. I was standing outside for another 5 minutes. I ended up just going upstairs, knocking on the door, and he came out to talk to me. You were living on the top floor,
Yeah.
so he decided to go to the bottom floor and talk to me down there in the basement.
Privacy.
Just in case something was gonna go down. Nobody would hear it. But anyways,
Start fighting.
No, but he was really nice. I showed up. He asked me what I was doing there, and then I told him I asked you last night if I could talk to you. I don't think he remembered that well.
He
I don't
didn't
think he
remember.
remembered that I was supposed to. Yeah, because he wasn't.
You think he forgot that you're supposed to come over?
I don't know. Like I told you, I don't know if he understood pretty much
What you actually said.
What
He
I
might
actually
not
said.
have actually heard you say I'm coming over to your house or something.
No, to talk to your just talk about
After
something.
church, okay, just to like set the scene. After church services in the Dominican, in Poland, it can get hectic. It can get really loud,
Yeah.
and because you have all your church members, and again, everything in the Dominican's like open. You don't have like your church doors are open the whole time you're having services. Like you have two big back doors that stay open, and people will be coming in and out, or maybe they'll be standing outside, like watching from the road. And then when church services most of the time the congregating, like the hanging out, whatever, talking is not really inside the building. You all kind of go like outside and on the sidewalks and kind of in the road.
Yeah, some people sit on the sidewalk.
Yeah, because it gets
outside.
really hot inside and there's no breeze and whatever. And so it can be like a little hectic because there can also be like motorcycles passing by. It can be loud. There's always tons of kids like running around and playing and being loud. And then everyone, he's the pastor, so everyone's trying to say hello to the pastor if they need to talk to him about anything before he leaves. And so I imagine I could very much so see you just like being in the group of everyone shaking his hand and
Yeah,
just be
because
like,
everybody wants to
hey,
shake
I'm
his
going to
hand,
come
right?
over and
Yeah.
talk to you about your daughter tomorrow. And he's like, okay,
Yeah, sure.
what? Wait.
Because everybody wants to talk to him and shake his hand, and
Yeah, or talk about issues or stuff they need.
So, like I said, I don't know if he understood completely what I said.
That you were coming over.
That I was gonna come over to talk to him about you. So we go to the bottom floor, and he asked me what I was doing there. Again, I'm gonna answer him, and then I told him that I wanted to start talking to you, but I didn't want to talk to you before them knowing me and meeting me. All I wanted for them was to just meet me, see that I'm not, because to a certain point I do understand when you're trying to keep your kids away from another culture that could be so completely different from yours, especially with your kids. It's not like it might sound a little bad the way that it could come across, but it's the sense of the Dominican culture is so different to the American culture that certain things.
Well, I would say absolutely in the sense of like relationships and marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
You can give the example of like the stereotypical Dominican man.
Yeah, because again, when we date there in the Dominican, it's different than the way that you do it here. And knowing what I know, knowing that when they're dating, people keep changing around. Well, they're dating, but we're not really dating. Like that's how
they don't take it seriously.
They don't take it too seriously. Here, people when they say, "Okay, we're dating," people take it more serious than we take.
At least in the area we're in. And like stereotypical Dominican men like sleep around a lot. They have kids with a bunch of different women.
Yeah.
They drink a lot. Just like the negative stereotype.
Plus the point of my dad, because everybody knew my dad, and my dad was somewhat of a player. So it's pretty reasonable to think that his kid is going to be another player.
Yeah, and honestly with my parents, it was very consistently mentioned about your dad.
Yeah. So, that like I said, that I understood, so I wanted them to just
be like, hey, I'm not weird.
I know that, there is some sort of a past with my dad and all that, and that, people are here. But I'm a nice guy.
But wouldn't that be what anyone would say?
Exactly that's what they would say, but they cannot keep up that for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
you're
They're
being
not going to
nice.
be hanging around that much.
Yeah, especially if you start making it difficult. It's not worth it. So
Yeah.
you're going somewhere else. So that's all I wanted, and he said.
And so then from there, we just started dating, and then a few years later, got married.
No.
Just kidding.
He, of course, otherwise wouldn't be a love story. He said no, heartbroken, didn't know what to do. I said, okay, sir, if that's your decision, that's fine. I will respect it. I left, and I let you know that I was turned over and pushed aside. No, but that I was told no, that I couldn't be with you.
Yeah.
And that's how I met your dad.
Yeah.
Properly.
I mean, it's weird. The problem is, like, because of the whole way that the setup is of the isolation beforehand, because a lot of times people, I mean, I bet a lot of people listening would even be like, well, that's weird. I wouldn't like even feel comfortable meeting a guy for the first time and him being like, hey, I want to date your daughter, being like, 14 or 15. But it's not like there were situations where we were like hanging out with people that families and friends were spending time together for them to even have met you in another setting.
Yeah.
Because we were so isolated. It wasn't like we were,
But even when you were at my uncle's house and your parents were there, it's not like we were hanging out.
We
together.
weren't allowed to even talk.
I was somewhere else.
Yeah. It's like you were like sitting on, in another room or something.
If I was outside, they would be inside. If I was inside. And
no, actually, yeah. Because like let's say I was inside the house and my dad was sitting outside on the porch. If he saw guys come into the house, then he would come and tell us to come outside.
Exactly.
And so like we just weren't allowed to be around.
Even though we were at the same place, we're not
even talking.
Sharing the same space.
So what did you think at that point? Did you just think like, oh, he's a jerk? Or did you have any idea that it had anything to do with IFB? Do you remember?
I did think, at that point, I thought that it was a bit of a jerk. Not necessarily a bad, like, oh my God, I don't want to even see that guy around. More
yeah.
Like, why you have to be like that kind of thing?
Yeah.
The reason why I thought that you couldn't be close to us and hanging out with us is just because...
strictness, just regular...
I wouldn't say strictness, but even the Dominican is kind of known that Christian and not Christians shouldn't be doing. Not that it's known, but some denominations do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I know older people.
Yeah, like aren't Mormons like that?
I don't know. Not much about Mormons.
Yeah, I think Mormons are very much like that you're not like supposed to mix much with non-Christians. Maybe.
But again, that's what I thought at the moment. It's just another one of those religions where, if you're both not Christian, you shouldn't even talk. Something like that. Not shouldn't even talk, but talk about being together.
Oh, like as dating.
Yeah, you shouldn't even
I thought you were talking about
dating.
just like in general.
Oh, no.
And I was like, whoa.
You couldn't even talk about dating or being together.
Yeah. So from there, then we just kind of like, occasionally would we see each other over there, mostly at your uncle's house, which I was allowed to go over there sometimes. And then we started just chatting. And it was constantly an issue because my parents would go through my messages, and then be like upset that I was chatting with you, even though like it was just, I don't know, like, hey, what are you doing? You're like,
what are you doing today?
I'm at school.
You go to school?
Yeah. And it would, my parents would get upset, and then, I also like, they would be like, you can't talk to him. And my thing always was, I'm more of like a logical, like forward thing, like a logical thinker. So to me, I'm like, okay, well, I won't do it if you give me like a valid reason why I can't.
Yeah.
And the answer always was, which is, we said so, or, we're in charge. And so I'll be like, well, that like, he's a Christian. He goes to church, even if it's not our church, because also in your defense, you didn't live actually where we lived.
No,
you would just come to visit and see friends, or on the weekends to see family, but you lived a couple hours away. And so you didn't go to our church, but you were Christian. You went to church, you were like a regular good,
regular human.
normal. Yeah, it wasn't like you were like drinking and doing drugs or in gangs.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? And then at one point, I don't know the reasoning behind it. I guess because it maybe to my parents, it was kind of like they really never gave like a valid reason. And so then
the reason that he gave me, because when I asked him, I mean, he told me no, but the reason that he gave me is just that you couldn't be with that, you know, you're too young for that. Like,
which didn't make sense because I had siblings who had boyfriend or girlfriends, whatever you call it, my age or younger.
But I also knew that they had somewhat of a boyfriend or somebody they were talking
I mean, they were with some of my siblings, they really didn't care. It was kind of, you know, much with it. But for most of my siblings, they were just the same strictness, you know, on kind of like the church literally teaches until it's not like, you know, you're 17, 18, you're an adult, you should have some independence. It's really teaches that for men, you 100% control them, like the boys, not men, even after they're 18, as long as they live in your house.
Yeah.
Until they move out. So they could be 23, 24 if they haven't gotten married yet or in school, whatever. And just the same way the church controls the members, it's kind of pushed that like the parents should be controlling the ones living in their houses. So even, you know, even my older brothers would have like curfews that even as adults, curfews that had to be home. They would like to be aware of the finances that they had. They would, you know, just still have a lot to do with just everyday decisions that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the 15-year-old thing, I don't know. Yeah. That again, to me, it was never like a valid reason. Yeah, because I had siblings that were like younger than me that had.
Well, something that happened after that, you know.
What?
That somebody was contacting you and he was actually they let him talk to her. So that's
yeah. Well, yeah. So there was it's very common again in IFB that like. It was funny. I was making you do this because I thought that it was, you know, it's weird. It's like, even though there was things that I didn't agree with and I knew at a young age that were wrong, so much of it I really did think was normal or right.
Yeah.
Because in IFB, a man or a young man, you know, 17, 18 or 20, whatever age he is, that he's interested in a woman, he always goes to the father, like oftentimes before he ever even talks to the girl or knows if the girl's even interested.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so there was this guy and he was at another church in a different state. He wasn't even in our state. And I had I knew him, like I'd met him and said hello type thing, but I don't even remember like ever actually having a conversation with him. And he had asked my dad, you know, he said that he felt, you know, the Lord wanted him
the Lord guided him to you.
Yeah, whatever. And don't get me wrong, like, he was a nice guy, but I didn't know him. Yeah. And so, but my parents allowed that. And so I guess that was,
like I said, later on, that happened. I was like, so that wasn't the reason.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, something fishy.
Something fishy. If you had to guess, what would you think the reason was?
I thought about this a lot. I had a lot of...
I think the sad thing is I don't know if they even know. Like now looking back, I think they were just being crazy.
I think the reasoning is like I thought that I said before. They just didn't want you to be mixing with people like somewhat.
That wasn't.
I'm not gonna say that I thought that they were racist because I don't necessarily think that your parents were racist.
Well, in IFB, it's definitely taught the thing you were saying about like mixing different cultures.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like he kind of didn't want to mix her Americanness with my Dominicanness. Yeah,
well, it's so much pushed in the church, and I've even like heard pastors be telling stories about how intercultural, not even, I guess they consider, like to me, people that aren't even like really like darker skin or anything. It's like, there was some people in our church that were like interested in marrying people in Asia, and they were like, pretty lighter skinned, but it's still, they weren't white, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like white American, because they really, really were against, like they would constantly, and it was so funny because they would always like make it out to this thing of love and care. It's better for everyone. Like, we don't say this because we're racist. Like, we love everyone. We have no problem with anyone. But if you mix Dominican American, you're going to have so many issues. Your children are going to suffer and you're probably going to get divorced. Mm-hmm. Is kind of what the thing was. And they pushed a lot. Like, I remember being taught so much that the reason you shouldn't marry a Black person or a Latino person is that mixed kids get made fun of. And so no, I'm serious. They were like, kids that are mixed racially get made fun of, and it would be your fault. Like, you brought them into this world to suffer.
And maybe make fun by them. Like, who was making fun of mixed
them. Oh, I mean, IFB overall is terribly racist. Like, I've been to so many churches, know thousands of people in IFB, and the racism is really bad. I'm not saying that every church teaches it from the pulpit, but it's definitely interwoven in so much of it, because racism was just normal growing up.
Yeah.
It was just like, but again, it was so weird because to us kids, because I would even be, asking questions, especially considering I grew up in the Dominican and on the border of Haiti. So most of the people I grew up around as a kid were darker skinned. They were either Haitian or they were Dominican, because there wasn't really any other Americans hardly living where we lived. And so it was always weird to me. I would even ask, aren't we all the same? And they would teach us as kids, yeah, you're all the same, but God does not want you to mix. And they would actually use that verse where it's like not to be interyoking with unbelievers. And they would say that also goes to like cultures, that you're not supposed to be mixing them. And so we were taught that a lot growing up. You shouldn't do that. Everyone's equal, but you shouldn't marry or like.
So yeah, that's what I thought at the moment. That it's not necessarily like I thought your parents were racist. They didn't make a lot of sense why they be helping a bunch of Haitians and
Dominicans, yeah.
Like, kind of racist. But somewhat of that class. I would say more class than anything else. I wouldn't say the race, but the class. Like I was lower class. That's what I thought at the moment.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot of friends that were, wealthy.
Yeah, we knew a lot. We were not wealthy at all. But yeah, we definitely had contacts all around the country, and absolutely. I mean, some of them were like, like the Jimenez family and stuff. They're like millionaires, maybe more than that. I don't know. And so yeah, we definitely had lots of wealthy. A lot of wealthier friends.
People are known in the area where we grew up
as like
people,
wealthier
influencer people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It could have been a mix of that and also the fact that you really weren't IFB.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's weird, but okay.
Yeah. So then we went We went, I guess, 2 or 3 years with kind of that problematic, like trying to talk to each other, and then my parents, not allowing it. Sometimes we would go months and months, maybe even a year without talking at all.
Yeah, I remember after I went and talked to your dad, I would say about
sometimes we write letters and give them like to your cousins or give me a note.
Notes. Yeah. 3-4 months after I talked to you. I might be confusing, but you moved back to the U.S. for about a year or so. That year, we didn't have any contact. We never talked.
Yeah, we had come back to the U.S. maybe 6 months after that, like after you had talked to him. And we had tried during that 6 months. It was much easier when we were in the Dominican because I could give like notes to your cousins. And sometimes I would like try to talk to you on one of their phones or something. I mean, it was probably, but then remember there was also like a situation then because I kept saying, why is it that we can't
why
can't we talk?
Especially because I'm not trying to date you. I just want to
hang out.
When I go to my uncle's house, I can sit around and talk.
Yeah, just, get to know each other essentially.
Get to know each other, exactly.
And so then I remember at one time you were allowed to supposedly, like what he said, you could hang out with me like if we were at church.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly? I mean, did he say that or not?
No, he said that when I went to talk to him the first time, he said that we couldn't talk to anything that had to be boyfriend or girlfriend. But if I go to the church, I could say hi and, talk about church stuff if I'm standing around. But that's it. Like, if it's not at the church, then we can talk.
So what did you think about that
So what did
message?
you think about the message today?
Did you like that verse?
So that's what I was telling them. You know, that was pretty much, you can talk to my dog. Cannot talk to my dog.
Yeah. But yeah, because I remember a couple times whenever we had, like, we would take the youth to another church, to visit another church. You had asked to come, but that wasn't allowed. So yeah, we didn't really have much. We came to the U.S. for about a year because one of my siblings were sick. And during that year, I didn't talk to you at all, I don't think. Once.
No, you didn't talk to me at all.
Because, like, I was not allowed, during that year, I didn't have, like, my parents didn't let me have any type of, like, social media. I didn't have my own phone. I didn't have a computer. Like, there was literally no way for me to actually talk to you. But then we moved back to the Dominican when I was 16, I guess. Yeah, I was 16. And then we just tried to start talking again.
Yeah, we started talking, try and start talking again, because we had the flexibility of leaving notes.
Yeah.
And send letters.
And then you got me a little phone one time.
Yeah, but that was after, I mean, when we started trying to talk
it's only
again,
so many years.
It's only so many
years.
years.
It could have been that long after. Like, in the moment,
okay.
I'm sure it felt like a long time, but there's,
Yeah,
like, between, there was
time.
only, 4 years, 5 years between the time we met and we got married.
Yeah, but to me, like, oh my God, I've been talking to this girl for 6 months and I haven't hold her hand yet. It's like, God, I'm pretty slow. It's so
funny.
I was doubting my game.
It's so funny to me that at that point you still didn't realize something was really
I was doubting
weird.
my game. I was like, she's not even trying, because I always thought, if she really
I remember one time.
No,
I remember one time you, like, tried to hold my hand and I got like really scared because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna, like, get in trouble or something, or, like, also I hadn't, like, never. I don't even know if I ever, like, really even hugged a guy that wasn't my family member. Because you're never allowed to touch.
Yeah,
you know.
I was holding your hand.
I remember pastors preaching when I was younger
shoulder.
about, we see these boys and girls and they're shaking hands and they'll be holding on for a real long time. And so, like, everything was like, oh, dude, don't even shake their hand for too long because somebody might see you.
Somebody might see you.
Yeah, and so I remember one time, and you were like, what is wrong? Like, what is happening? Because I remember at that point, you're like, do you like me or do you not like me?
Exactly, I was doubting. I was like, if she really wanted to hang out with me, she would at least hold my hand. So I was doubting my game.
I feel so bad.
But no, now I know it's okay, baby.
So yeah, then you had gotten me a phone. We had tried to talk some. At this point, I had a Facebook, actually. My parents checked it pretty regularly. Because it's so funny. We actually had our computer connected to a projector that would project up onto the living room wall.
Okay.
So,
every time you were God damn.
so like I had a Facebook, which was, like, really cool because honestly a lot of people in IFB even now don't have Facebook, but weren't really allowed to have Facebook back then. But it really
wasn't really that bad.
But the church didn't really like it. But the thing was, we really didn't have a way to contact, like, family and friends in the US.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really mail easily to the Dominican. We had a service that we would get letters and we can mail letters, but, like, if I mailed a letter, from the time I mailed it to I got a response could easily be, like, 3 months. And so then you're like, dude, what the hell was I, like, writing a letter to them about 3 months ago? I don't even remember at this point, like, by the time you got the response.
Yeah.
And so Facebook actually was, like, super great for giving you the option of, like, oh, you could, like, I don't know, contact somebody in the US pretty easily. And even if it's only, like, 5 minutes, you could be like, hey, how are you doing? Chat with them. So I had a Facebook. We had managed even, like, because it's like, I don't know, I guess I kind of, like, was good, like, hot hit it. Like, even if I was, like, messaging on the projector screen, after I sent a message, I would, like, turn off the chat box. So it wasn't just, like, on there the whole time.
Yeah.
And then the deacon in the church, I still hold grudges, man.
He read it.
He, like, went to Dad. I don't really hold a grudge against him, but he went to Dad and was like, hey, just so you know, Giuseppe and Mary been talking on Facebook. I guess that's what he said.
Yeah,
like,
like
something to that extent. So my dad was like, what? And so he like got my Facebook and like dug deeper than the typical, I guess, looking through it, and found messages between me and you. And then it was like, oh, you know, I don't remember what happened then either. Because I feel like that happened so many, like on multiple different times.
Yeah, after I remember that you stopped talking to me all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's like, when we had like I don't know, like part of me thinks that there was something wrong with you too.
Why?
Because like for 4 years, you were like...
you know, I don't know.
It's like for 4 years, you would go like so many stints of 6 to 12 months without even talking to me, and you never had another girlfriend?
No, never had another girlfriend.
That is not look. Ah!
I never had another girlfriend. No, I don't swear. Well, I was taught not to swear to God, but I swear to God.
you were taught not. Who taught you that? Me?
In Dominican they teach.
Oh yeah, don't
never
swear
to God.
So yeah, it was the whole. I mean, there's so much detail. It's so much more than just what we're saying. Like, oh, we tried to talk and then we couldn't talk. There was so much control involved.
Yeah, it was a lot. We're condensing it.
Yeah, like, condensing 5 years, I guess, into like a 45-minute segment. And so we moved back to the States indefinitely when I was 17, almost 18. My parents kind of... It was just they were having so many issues with IFB, with the kids, with the church. Everything kind of seemed like it just wasn't working out. Their kids, I guess, like especially me, was being problematic.
Yeah.
Even though like overall I was like honestly a really well-behaved kid, because I like really believed most of that stuff because I thought it was true. And so I was never doing bad things. You know, like I had sisters. And I'm not going to say their names, but they know who they are, would like leave the house and change their clothes.
Yeah.
You never saw me without a prairie dress on. I liked them. I thought they were good. I was like, I like these clothes. Always had a long skirt on, long sleeves. Like I never even tried. I'm looking back, I'm like, dude, I was really dumb. But I always like, and also I remember like if I went somewhere with one of my siblings and they would listen to non-Christian music, I would hold my ears, even when I was a teenager. Which I'm like, there was definitely something wrong with me. Or I'd be like, we're not allowed to listen to this. No, this is bad music. And so I was like really well behaved, apart from just a couple things that I really didn't. Because all of that stuff, that the reasoning they gave me, I kind of like thought made sense. Yeah. Of like, okay, this is why you shouldn't listen to this type of music. And ultimately, like, they take it to the extreme, but it is true. Like, if you're listening to horrible music about sex and drugs and cussing, like, that's going to be on your mind. So obviously you don't want your kid listening to that. They obviously took it too far. Like, we only could listen to like hymns. But, you know, in my mind, I was like, okay, that makes sense, or this makes sense. But the not being able to talk to you never made sense, because I can never get an answer, for it.
Proper answer.
And so when I moved back to the States, we just kept on, man. Like, we were annoying, I guess, at that point, because it'd been like 4 years of us still.
Yeah, but there is a bit of because I remember right before you left.
Yeah, that's what I was about to start. But like I think that's why it got to when I was 17, almost 18. I still kept on with we had moved back to the States. We were living in the States. Giuseppe was like in the Dominican. And so my parents said, okay, you can talk to him when we moved to the States.
Yes,
when we were back here, they were like, you can talk to him now. And at first I was like, are you like tricking me? Or like, I can talk to him, but what? And they were like, no, you can talk to you just have to like limit it. And there's still rules around like how much you can talk. And they would like go through my phone every night and read all the messages of like what we were chatting about. And it's just like normal, again, people, I did not know what sex was. I don't even know these things. I couldn't even be talking about bad things because I didn't know what they were. Because in IFB, you don't talk about anything. Like, so many girls get married and they don't even know what sex is until they get married. And like, maybe their mom tells them like the night of their wedding, or their husband just does it or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and you don't get taught about like your body. You don't get taught about like puberty. You don't get taught, like, girls don't get taught about their periods. You don't talk about any of that stuff because your body, like, it's just so much shame around everything. You're supposed to feel ashamed of your body, so cover it up. And you're supposed to feel ashamed of your period, so don't talk about it. Everything's really, really crazy. And so it's not like I even had anything bad to be talking to you about. But they would still, go through all the messages. It was also, we were not allowed to do like video calls. I don't even know if we were allowed to do phone calls. I think not. I think it had to all be in writing because they wanted to see
I don't remember calling
what the messages said.
Moment.
And so that was for a few months, and it was nice. Like, I finally felt like we could be somewhat normal.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't, because at that point then we were just a long distance relationship which sucks, because like you were in the Dominican, I was in the States, and we could chat, but like we still weren't hanging out. We weren't like, doing fun stuff together. And so then after a few months, they were just like, okay, like you can't talk to him anymore.
Can't talk to him anymore.
And I was like, wait, what? Like, what did I do? Like, break a rule? What did I do? And they were like, nah, we just thought like
it's gonna dwindle out or something.
It was gonna dwindle out. And I was like, no. And so I was almost 18, and I was like, this is too much. Like, this is crazy. And at the same time, I feel bad saying these things about them, but I mean, it did happen. But at the same time, they were controlling a lot, even my money. They had I had a bank account, but it was under their name. And so they knew how much money I had, where my money was. I really tried to get a job because I'd finished finished high school at this point. I got my diploma, I should say. And so it's like kind of looking at the next step. I was really interested in going to university, but they were putting a lot of rules around what university I could go to and when and what classes I could take. And I wanted to get a job. I had done interviews. I wasn't being allowed to get, a regular job. And so I was just cleaning, with my grandma and people for people in the church,
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, this is crazy. Cause I'm super independent. I'm like entrepreneur. I'm independent. I want to go out and do my own stuff. I didn't even get a license till I was almost 18. I didn't drive. I got a permit maybe when I was 16 or 17, but I didn't get a license until I was right before I turned 18. So I was getting really bothered at this point because I was me, I had always been really mature.
Yeah.
Because even when you met me, I was 13, and I remember your friends being like, dude, you're weird. Like, she's 13 because you thought I was 15 or 16.
Yeah. I thought you were my age or older. It's not like we have a huge gap. To make that clear.
Yeah. No, yeah, two and a half years. But I was always just very mature. And so it was getting to the point that I was really starting to get upset because I wanted to get a job. I wanted to get a vehicle. I wanted to just be able to go out and do stuff. And I wasn't allowed. I was still, even when I turned 18, even though it was only a few weeks after I was 18 that I moved out, still checking my phone, looking at all my stuff. And so I was getting really upset with all of that. And then whenever they were like, you can't talk to Giuseppe anymore. And I was just like, okay, this is the final straw. This makes no sense. There was huge arguments. It was just very problematic at that point.
Yeah.
And so for I don't know how long it was, between that happening and me being 18, I think it was just a couple months.
That we couldn't talk anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
where we couldn't technically at that. So at that point, I went and bought my own phone and hid it. And that's how I could text you and try to call you. Cause I was like, this is crazy. When I turned 18, I don't even want to live here anymore. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I actually was trying to see if I could move in with one of my siblings or cause it's still in my head. It was I still was planning to go to church and stuff, because I was I have to go to a church. I just don't really want to go to that church. Cause I tried to go to a Hispanic church, and it's I still had to go to our IFB church, to all of their services, all of their jubilees, their meetings that would go on for days, just preaching all day, all of their VBS stuff, all of their youth activities. But if I wanted to go to other church, it would have to be when our church had absolutely nothing happening. And so that was okay, it was almost impossible to go anywhere. It was really upsetting at that point. So I got another phone, and yeah, I guess it was probably only a couple months, because right when I turned 18, I was trying to see like if I could move in with a sibling and none of that happened. That wasn't working out. And then I was just like, screw it, man. I'm just going to like move to the Dominican, I guess, because that's like, that's where I spent most of my childhood, and everyone I knew that like somebody there would let me stay with them. Yeah. And especially because you were like, well, you can come and stay at my mom's house. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do that. And so I turned 18, and it was only a couple weeks after my parents went out of town for something. And that was really hard. So my parents went out of town, and I didn't want to go with them because they were going to like a week and a half long thing where you just go and like they preach all day long, Yeah. And I was like, nah, like I had 2 cleaning jobs or 3 cleaning jobs that week. And I was like, I don't want to lose, the only little bit of money I can get. Cause I had been like, let's say I would get like $200 in a week from cleaning. I would like tell my parents, yeah, I got like $140 this week. And I would keep 60 hidden. So they didn't know how much money I had actually. Mm-hmm. And then I remember right when I turned 18, I went and opened up a bank account at Wells Fargo. Because I had asked over and over, can I have my own bank account? And they wouldn't. You had to have like a parent sign if you were under 18, and they wouldn't do it. So literally right when I turned 18, I went and opened up a Wells Fargo account, and I took my money out of the bank account that had their name on it. I was allowed to take money in and out of that account, but they would get notified. Mm-hmm. And so when I took the money out, they're like, why did you take your money out of the account? And I was like, oh, I made a Wells Fargo account. And that was a huge thing. They're like, what do you need a Wells Fargo account for? And I was like, well, I just wanted to have like my own bank account. Because also the bank account that was under theirs, I didn't even have a debit card. Okay. Like I couldn't spend the money unless I went to the bank, and I couldn't go to the bank unless I used their vehicle. So like it would only be if they like gave me the vehicle to go to the bank and pull my money out. And so I opened up the Wells Fargo account, and like that, I remember like feeling so happy being like, yeah, like, oh, I got my own bank account now. And like, I wasn't even planning on buying anything bad, but I was like, I can buy whatever I want. They're not going to know because like it's on my card and they don't have the login. And I remember them like asking me one time for the login. I was like, nah, I'm not going to give it to you. And so like, this was very problematic time for them because it was very, very much like I was at the point where I'm like, screw this. I'm going to do whatever I want. I wasn't doing anything bad, Yeah. Like I was just like
opening your bank account.
Yeah. But it was very much, you're not supposed to do that, especially as a girl or a woman. And so I started saving up some money. And then when they went to that conference, they were like, you have to go with us. And I was like, I'm not going to that conference. Like, I really just didn't want to go. And then also I didn't want to lose like the couple of options I had for income. And so when they left, I remember being like, dude, I'm 18. Like, I should just leave. And so I like remember calling you, and you were like, yeah, dude, buy a ticket and come down. And I was like, I don't know, like maybe I should talk to him first. And you were like, nah, I don't tell him anything. And I was like, nah, just go. And that was smarter because they probably would have like it would have not ended up happening. And so I don't know, I had like $500 total is all the money I had, and I found a ticket for like $300. And so I like called a friend and was like, hey, could you drive me to the airport? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. And then she was like, so your parents know you're going, right? And I was like, well, no, not really. And then she was like, oh, I don't want to get involved in that. And that's understandable. Like, I don't judge her for that. But so then I was like, okay, I'd bought the ticket at this point, and I was like, dude, what am I going to, like, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get to the airport? Because it was in Atlanta, and we were in Columbia, South Carolina. So it was like, 3-4 hour drive. And so I was like, oh, shoot, dude, like, I gotta like figure out how to get there. I couldn't figure. I like the couple people I thought that I could call, I called, and no one was wanting to do it, which is fine. Especially in IFB, like there's a lot of fear. Everyone's got a lot of fear about everything. Everyone's scared to do everything, especially girls and women. And so I was like, damn it, dude, I'm just gonna have to take their car. And so like my family now still like jokes about and says like, yeah, when Mary stole our car, I was like the most respectable car thief. Yeah. Because I like put fuel back in the car. I paid for like, I got like this private parking garage and paid for a week because I was like, I didn't have a lot of money, but I was like, that gives them time to go pay. I was like super respectful about taking $100
behind.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't leave no $100. I had, like, I'm telling you, my ticket was I think $300, and I had $500 or $600 total is all the money I had. And so I just did it. But sometimes you just do stuff. I remember doing it and being like, am I really doing this right now? Like, I don't know if I'm really doing this right now. This seems crazy. But I was also really happy and excited because, I mean, I was an adult. I was very mature. I was 18 at that point. It wasn't like, I wasn't scared. in the sense of like something bad was going to happen to me. I think I was just scared of like my church and parents.
Yeah.
I don't think I was scared of anything else. And so I flew down there, and I remember being like, okay, well, I guess I got to like tell them about the car and that I left.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want to call them because like they're in church meetings all day. And do you remember, what did I do?
I think you left them a message. I think you messaged somebody. I don't know if you messaged Josh or you messaged them. I can't remember.
My brother Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they found out. They found out where their car was, and they found out that I was gone. And it, of course, ended up being like a million times worse than I thought it was going to be. Because I was like, okay, they're going to be real upset. But then, after a few months, it's going to calm over. No, they showed up in the Dominican.
Yeah.
Multiple family members showed up in the Dominican, like, I don't know, how long?
The first pencil that showed up?
Yeah.
I don't know, it was 3 days.
3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Maybe a week. Because we had gone to Polo and come back, and we had like looked for like stuff for the house, for your mom's house.
Yeah, but I can't remember like.
It was pretty quick. Let's say worst case scenario was a week. It wasn't long. And they showed up, and then my dad showed up, and it was just.
Well, they showed up first to schedule a meeting. I guess.
Yeah.
With Mr.
What are those?
Here because,
what are those people called from The Sopranos that they send out, the consigliere or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
Joey, my brother-in-law Joey's gonna know. Put it in the comments, dude, and he's gonna be so unimpressed with me about not remembering this. Yeah, like on the Sopranos show, like their right hand man that they send to like go set stuff up.
I don't know.
I think it's your consigliere or something like that.
Well, we need to look it up.
And so they sent that one first. One of my brothers would be like, hey, we got to set up a meeting with you. And I was like, oh, man, like, why does everything have to turn into a thing? But everything in IFB turns into a thing, with anything. Because apparently, so at our home base, what was happening at the time, I was just living it up. I was like, okay, I have like $180 left. That'll buy me food for a few weeks so I can like figure out where to work or get a job. I was happy. I was like, just felt chill, I guess.
Yeah.
And also I love the Dominican. Dominican feels more like home to me than the US. And so I felt happy to like be back because I hadn't been there in 8-9 months, something like that. And so we set up the meeting. But what was happening back here in the US was like the church found out, and then the uncles, like my uncle who's the pastor's found out, and my parents had to like dramatically leave. And there was like a lot of crying, like all the kids were crying. Then there was like so much going around about me being sex trafficked, and like that was like happening. It was just like so much drama. It was actually really funny. And like to me, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like if my 18-year-old, God forbid, but like if she ran away, I'd be like, it's fucking like, what is she doing? Like, where's she gonna go? She'll be back here in like a week. Yeah. But I guess it's like also completely different. You can't compare it to like how it is with our kid.
Yeah.
Because the life is completely different. But that was like, so there was a meeting, and then I shouldn't have done it, but they were like, you need to move back to the States. You can't live here. And so I moved back to the States. So I was only there for less than a month.
Yeah. I think it was 3 weeks.
And so I moved back to the States, but I came to Colorado, and that was funny too, because they were like, okay, she's back in the States. She's safe from like being with him. And it was what 3 weeks later you came?
Yeah, you showed up.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and we got
3 weeks
married.
later.
And so yeah, that kind of is like the quick summary of what did you think about IFB when you kind of started seeing what it really was?
Oh, I thought it was just like one of those crazy cults that you see on the TV. I was like,
yeah,
people are crazy.
What made you like? What were some things you had found out about or noticed that made you realize this is a cult? This isn't just like weird people or different people or conservative or something.
I think it was mainly when I came here after you moved back, that I came here 3 weeks later.
When we got married?
Yes, but I don't know if we made a trip.
No, you came here in November. We got married a month later in December when I was 18.
Yeah.
And then once we wanted to do your citizenship process, you had to go to the Dominican, come back for a bit to start the process. But yeah, you came here in November like right after I got here, and then we got married in December.
So yeah, I guess it was after I came back the second time. We made a trip to South Carolina
when I was pregnant. Because I got pregnant. We went to South Carolina so we got married in December of 2015, and in probably August of 2016 or October of 2016, we went to, because I was like a few months pregnant. We went to South Carolina.
Yeah, and I went to the church.
Yeah, we did, because my parents were still at the church at that time.
Yeah, they were still at the church.
And so we went. I didn't go to the service because I remember saying I was not going to go to the service. But after the service, they were having some type of get together, like a bonfire, with some, I don't know, they were grilling out or something. I don't remember. What did you? So you went there, and
I remember going there, and it was a weird vibe. Like it felt weird.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody was just looking at me, but not looking at me like, "Hey, who's this guy?" It was more like a straight face, just looking at me the whole time. And I was like, this seems like one of those movies. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for me to I know factually that like it's a cult and it's creepy and it's weird and gives off weird vibes, but I've never felt that firsthand just because I grew up in it my whole life. So looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's really weird. It was very unsafe. It was very crazy, controlling, but I never got the weird vibe feeling because it was all normal to me.
Because maybe you were the weird vibe.
No, I wasn't. I mean, for a while, yeah, I'm sure I was.
No, but
I always give off weird vibes.
But after I came back and I went to the church and they started explaining things to me and I started seeing things, I was like, okay, that's when I realized how
crazy it actually was.
Crazy.
Yeah, because the whole time during like us talking and dating, I would tell you
tell
things.
me a lot of things. I used like
because like even when you would be like, well, your parents, I remember being like 17. And when my dad said we had to stop talking, and you were like, well, no, you don't have to stop talking to me. And I was like, if my parents said I do, I do. And you were like, no, you don't. No. Like if you're almost an adult. And I remember being like, you don't understand. Like, I can't do that. And I remember you telling me like, I don't like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you don't want to? And I was like, no, like I can't do that. And I don't think you really understood.
Yeah, and I didn't understand that. That's why.
Because I don't think you even understood of like how I couldn't even have access to social media.
Yeah,
because I couldn't. They would take my phone, or I didn't have a computer. Yeah, so then honestly, we got real freaking lucky because realistically, we didn't really ever hang out until we got married.
Yeah, we never really spent time together apart from when I used to go to my uncle's house, her house,
But I think about that sometimes, and I know 100% we were meant to be together. I mean, just the fact that we went through, or you more so than anything. I mean, I didn't have anything else going on. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but for you went 4 or 5 years of that. Obviously, we were meant to be together. But looking back, I'm also like, it could have ended really badly.
It could have.
Yeah. Because we never really actually spent time together. And we went from not really talking to just getting married and living together.
And 7 months later, pregnant.
I was pregnant. Not, she was born a year and 4 months after we were married. So probably 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So we just jumped right into it. But 10 years, going on 10 years now, almost next, what is it? A couple months from now will be 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the basic rundown. I wish also sometimes we had like another person to ask questions, because there was so much that happened. I'm like, okay, can we try to grab like the key points and share them, and also try to give like the perspective of how difficult it was and how crazy it was in IFB. And I feel like my parents were, pretty middle ground compared to a lot of IFB people.
Maybe, I don't know.
They really weren't like, you had like the liberal IFB people, and then you had just the ones that even now to this day are like, they don't even have cell phones. And then you kind of have like the people in the middle, which are absolutely nuts. And it's a cult and it's crazy, but like we had Facebook, you know what I mean? And yeah, to go through all that. I wish, someone could ask questions. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's how we did that. Or yeah, that's how we did this. I guess leave your questions in the comments because we're both pretty open, I think. Open books. I have no, we went through some crap to get to where we are. And you were so patient because it was so funny. Even after we got married, we got to go to church and we got to, we got to do this because that psychological manipulation and abuse, for 18 years is not easy to kick.
Yeah.
Because, I really truly believed, okay, IFB is a little crazy or my parents are a little crazy or shouldn't be this way. But I was still very conservative. I mean, it was years of us being married and I wouldn't even wear shorts.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how it can take so long to get rid of that, I don't think there's much. I mean, maybe in ways that are just unclear that you don't notice maybe. But I think overall most of that stuff, like crazy IFB stuff, because I'm pretty, I'm a more or less liberal, person now. But yeah, speaking about crazy stuff, that's hard to believe. Did you see that thing I was going to show you about that school teacher that put the poop spray in the HVAC system at the school?
I think I heard about it.
So you I don't know the details behind this. Don't quote me on this. What is it I'm supposed to say to protect myself? I believe. Allegedly. Okay. Allegedly, one of the teachers at this school, and I think it was in South Carolina, which is so funny. That prank poop spray?
Yeah.
He put some of that around the school in different places. To me, I'm like, I bet that guy had like a big grudge. He was like pissed off at like the principal or the director. Yeah. Because I don't understand. I mean, maybe there's information of why he was doing this as he was like genuinely just joking around. But it like ended up, they were like trying to redo the whole HVAC system because the kids couldn't breathe and it smelled like poop. And they spent $55,000 on trying, and he got charged with something. I don't know what you charge somebody with.
Maybe he was spraying on the return for the HVAC system.
I don't know. Also at the same time, I'm like $55,000. Somebody like,
school money. It's probably state money.
It's probably like the school district's president's like brother or something.
Yeah, somebody. It goes away fast when it comes from.
But
them.
yeah, I was like, there's no way that's true. And then when I said that, I was like, oh, there's no way that's true. I should bring that up.
That's messed up.
But yeah, I think that's kind of a good, shared basic, maybe not that interesting, but kind of shows a little bit of how it was. Was there anything you wanted to share of like any crazy moments that you remember, like IFB related or looking at the group or something that someone in the group did that was like, whoa?
No, not necessarily. I remember just coming here and meeting this group of people from this church. And it just felt weird and people were...
Did you feel nervous?
Yeah. Nervous in the sense of, it's not necessarily, these are a bunch of Americans and I'm not used to being around. I was living here for months.
We were living here for almost a year before we went over. I don't even know what was going through our head. Why did we go there?
I don't remember.
But again, that just goes to show of like after you leave how difficult it is. And like, because when I left, they were like, if she ever wants to come back to church, the leaders in the church said that I would have to stand up and apologize.
It's not that we went to a service. We went to some sort of meeting out. We were outside.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is that the pastor of the church said that if I wanted to come back to church services, I would be made to stand up and apologize in front of the church.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I had also said like, I'm never going to go back to a church service there because I didn't want to go back to a church service. But yeah, we went like when church was over.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like
No, they were just. It was when they were all hanging out outside, and it was really weird, like that, like kind of like eerie.
Yeah, I just felt weird.
That's funny.
It felt different because I was living here in Colorado for months and I never.
Yeah, I mean Colorado is like amazing. Colorado's like hippie land, Everybody's welcome. Everybody's. Okay, well I think that's good. It was fun having you on here.
My pleasure.
Did you?
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. Did you want to Make a shout out to anyone in particular, like hi mom or
hi Mama J.
Mom J. So that's your shout out. I think we'll end it there. I think that was fun to kind of share a little. I think we kept a lot of the real crazy information controlled a little because my parents do watch this. So I think we'll stop there. If you guys have like questions specifically about us, like just drop them in the comments or shoot us a message. I'm always like, we'll answer anybody's questions. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get all the fun notifications about when I'm posting really interesting stuff. And I'll see you next time. Looking forward to it. Maybe next time I'll wear my tinfoil hat.